Hey, hello everyone, guys. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you all? Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Afreen Azmat, and I welcome you all to today's session. Hi, guys. Hello. Hello, everyone. Just please comment once about the audio and video of the class. Is everything is working fine, working good? All of you guys, everything is good, working fine. Hi, guys. Hello. Hello, everyone. So, audio, video, everything is clear. Audio, video, everything is working fine. No issues. Okay, so we are starting this chapter today, that is the documentation. So this is a easy topic. Okay, documentation, we are starting this today. Documentation, this is Unit 27 PPP Module B, right? So let's start discussing this topic. Okay, we are going to discuss this complete chapter because this is a very easy chapter, very short chapter. You have to just take care of the things that which steps comes after which step. Okay, so this is the main thing. You have to just take care of which step comes after which step. Okay, so let's start discussing this topic. First of all, if we talk about the basic introduction, so just ignore this heading. First of all, just I'm just taking this. Okay, so yes. So first of all, just talk about the basic introduction. See, what is the basic introduction for how, why the documentation is needed? Okay, so if we talk about the documentation, documentation is the most important aspects of all the credit management in a bank. So the complete credit management in a bank, when we are talking about the all the credit management of the evidence related to each and every credit facility the bank is giving to the borrower, everything, so everything is just judged on the basis of what? Documentation. If you have the documentation, that you have the legal authority to take any action against the defaulter. If you don't have the documentation, then you cannot take any legal steps. Why? Because you don't have any evidence. So this documentation is actually acting as an evidence against the financial services which the bank is given to their customer. It is very important for the bank to preserve the documents, each and every document, in a very good condition. Why? Because this is the sole evidence you need when you are taking any legal action against a defaulter, right? If we talk about the documents, first of all, what is the need for document? Need for document, the first thing is why the document is needed is to identify the borrower. First of all, the documentation is needed to identify the borrower. Okay, second, it actually identify the security, right? First of all, the borrower is to be identified. Second, the security is need to be identified, right? Then you should have a written evidence of the transaction. Okay, so you should manage a written transaction on the or written transaction made by the bank. So it is a written evidence of all the transaction made by the, right? Next is to ensure that there should be a due repayment of the loan by the borrower. Okay, so there should be a due repayment of the loan by the borrower or the guarantor. You should entitle that the bank should take a legal step for the recovery of the loan. It actually create a valid and effective security in favor of the bank. Valid and effective security in favor of the bank. Well, now, next, if we talk about the next thing, different types of document. So, what are the different type of document? If we talk about the different types of document, the very first is the demand promissory note. Now, demand promissory note is issued when there is no repayment time period fixed in the case of loan. So in the case of loan, when the repayment time period is not fixed, when the repayment time period is not specified, then it is known as what? Demand promissory note. Okay, demand promissory note. In a demand promissory note, the borrower actually make promises to the banker that whenever the banker demands, the debtor is actually returning the loan with the agreed rate of interest. So it is only issued. It is actually a promise note. And why this is issued? Because the repayment time period of the loan is not fixed. So when it is not fixed, the repayment of the loan is not specified, then it is the demand promissory note. And always remember, it is according to Section 4 of Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. It is actually in accordance to Section 4 of Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. If we talk about this demand promissory note, they attract a uniform stamp duty. Okay, demand promissory note, they attract what? They attract a uniform stamp duty, and this will be filled and stamped before the borrower sign. So it is actually filled, it is actually stamped before the sign of the borrower, right? Next is an agreement. Now, agreement, it is governed by the Indian Contract Act. Okay, it is accordant with what? It is accordance to the Indian Contract Act. Demand promissory note, it is according to the Negotiable Instrument Act. Demand promissory note, it is what? It is according to the what? It is according to the Negotiable Instrument Act. But if we talk about this is actually by according to the Indian Contract Act. Terms and condition of the loan is actually specified in the agreement. Terms and condition means what is the amount of loan, what should be the rate of interest charged, okay, what is the rate of penal interest, okay, what is the percentage of margin, everything should be in this agreement. And this agreement attracts a stamp duty, and this stamp should be there as per the Indian Stamp Act. So this agreement, it attracts a stamp duty, and this stamp duty is per the Indian Stamp Act. Clear? Now next, if we talk about the next thing, forms, okay, forms are not in the nature of promise or agreement. So always remember, forms are not in the nature of promissory note, neither it is in the nature of agreement. They are simply to clarify or clear the intention of the borrower. They actually issued to clarify the intention of borrower. So if I'm giving you example, that if the loan is granted against the security on FD, right, and this FD is in the joint name, and if one depositors want to take a loan against that FD, the other depositor has to give an authorization, and such authorization and confirmation should be taken in a form. Okay, so form is neither a promissory note, neither it is what, neither it is an FD. Clear? Next, if we talk about the documentation procedure, if we talk about what? If we talk about the documentation procedure, so the selection of the correct set of documents. First of all, the selection of the correct set of the documentation. So as a banker, you need to select a correct set of documentation. So documents differs from different financial service to financial service, as plus as different customer to customer. For example, the documentation process which is needed for individual, they cannot be same as what is needed in the partnership or companies, right? Or for example, the document which is needed for overdraft facility may not be same as the documentation which is needed in, for example, you can say cash credit or loan, right? So every financial service has its own set of documentation. Plus every individual or company or firm or partnership, they have another set of document. So as a banker, this is your first responsibility, that you have to choose the documents as per your conditions, right? So what the customer is demanding to you, what type of customer he or she is, depending upon that, you have to select a correct order of documentation. Then after selecting a correct roll of documentation, you have to stamp the document. After selecting a correct code of documentation, you have to stamp the document. So the next step of the documentation is stamping, and this stamping should be done as per the Indian Stamp. This stamping should be done as per what? Indian Stamped Act. Okay. Third, amount of stamp duty. So while stamping the document, you should be very aware of that how much amount is involved in that stamp duty, right? So it depends upon whether the subject is central government subject or a state government subject. For example, there are promissory note, there are bill of exchange, there are a share transfer, receipt, letter of credit, policy of insurance. These are the central subject. So it attract a uniform amount of stamp duty, right, in all the state. You are stamping it in any state, you will track the same duty because this is the central subject, right? But some subjects are state subjects, like there is a hypothecation, there is a pledge, power of attorney, lease, mortgage. These are the subject matters, and that's why the stamp duties are different in different states. So you need to take care whether the stamp is on, or you can say whether the stamp is the central stamp or the state stamp, right? Filing. If we talk about after stamping, the filling is done, not filing. Filling is done. So the documentation procedures involve the filling of the document. So are appropriate blanks which are given in front of something. Like for example, name is given, and there is an appropriate what? There is an appropriate blank which is given, right? Date and appropriate blank, right? So you have to fill the appropriate blank with the right with the terms and conditions. So as a banker, this is generally very important that you have a pre-printed format of document. You have to fill that document with the blanks in an appropriate places as per the term and condition which are specified in the documentation. Clear? Hmm. After filling, there is a execution. Execution means signing. After filling, you have to sign the documents. After filling, you have to do what? You have to sign. You have to do the signature in the documentation process. So the next step in the documentation is the execution or signing of the documents, right? Now, in some cases, so this legal procedure is not in every case, always remember. This is in some cases, not procedure, what I'm writing. Just please wait. So, in some cases, okay, there are extra legal procedures after the execution. Once you have filed, you have filled the documents, you have signed the document, then there are some cases in which you have to go through for some legal procedures. Some legal procedures, some extra legal procedures are required after executing the document. For example, in the case of advance to limited companies against its asset, the documents or forms need to be presented in front of a registrar of a company. So this is not in every case. This legal procedure are present in some of the states, right? Now, you have to keep the document valid, or you have to keep the document in force. Now, this is again very important. There is a limitation period for the recovery of debt in India, which is actually governed by the Limitation Act 1963. Now, Limitation Act 1963 specifies that there are certain prescribed time period within which you are allowed to file an application or suit against the defaulter party. Okay, now, a banker is only allowed to take legal action within or file a suit or prefer an appeal anything when the documents are within the limitation period. So, if the documents are expired, okay, the banker cannot take any legal action to recover the dues. For example, if we talk about the period of limitation for the documents, so it is 3 years for the execution date for demand promissory note and 12 years from the execution date from a mortgage loan. So it is very important that as a banker, you should be aware of the limitation period. And once you want, if there is any default and you want to file an application or appeal or anything against the defaulter party, you should do within the limitation period. Like for example, in the case of demand promissory note, from the date of execution, there is a time period of 3 years. You can file you can just file an appeal against the defaulter party within this 3 year. If this 3 year time lapse, then there is no legal thing. You cannot file an appeal against them. So you should be very important that you should be aware of all the limitation periods of the document. Next, you have to renew the document. So before the expiry of the documentation, a very important step that need to be taken is the renewal of the documentation. So you need to renew the documentation, okay, before the expiry of the document. And last is safekeeping and preservation of document. Obviously, loan documents, these are very valuable to the bank as they are the evidence. Very important thing. They are the evidence to claim, right? Nowadays, bank gives loan for a very long period of time. Say sometimes in home loans, there are 20 years or even 25 years. Now, this actually requires that such document be preserved for a longer period of time, and hence that document should be stored securely and properly. Care should be taken and that it is kept in a fireproof, pilfer-proof cabinet and strong room, okay? And there should be a responsibility and accountability of the document which are kept in personal custody of an authorized officer, right? So this is the documentation procedure, okay? This is the complete chapter. I have already told you that this chapter is very small, very easy chapter, okay? So let's discuss of the practice question. So as per the Stamp Act, a document is executed in India shall be stamped only before the execution, at the time or before filing, okay, within 30 days of execution or before or at the time of execution, okay. So actually, when the things are stamped, stamping is done after the execution, okay. Once it is executed, if we talk about the stamping, yes. So execution is actually what? Execution after the stamping, okay. After the stamping, execution is, okay. So after the stamping, before or at the time of execution. So yes, a document is executed in India shall be stamped before or at the time of execution. Yes. So stamping is done after the execution, right? So it is before and or at the time of execution. So D is the correct answer. Clear? That. So this is the complete chapter. I hope that you have all understood this chapter. See, we have these batches which are currently running on the JIP uh, app, right? Oliveboard app. We have the master batches for PPB and IEIFS in both medium, English and Hindi. We have the DBF selection batch both in both medium. We have the foundation batch, foundation 2.0 batch. We have the master batch for AFM and RBM. Every batches, and there are some new batches also which are coming, right? For example, there is new MCQ batch which is coming. There is a selection batch which is coming for the JIB. There is crash course which is coming. There is the capsule batch which is coming, okay, marathons batch which is coming. So there are a lot of batches which are planned and which are coming, okay, in the coming months or 2 months, right? So you don't have to purchase all the batches individually. Just you just purchase one plan there, that is JIB Super Elite all-in-one subscription, in which you will get the access of all the live classes, mock test notes, and all the batches. Okay, so you need not to purchase each and every batch individually because all the batches will be given under this JIB Super Elite all-in-one plan. All you have to do is to purchase this plan, and there is a very good year-end sale that is going on the Oliveboard app. So if you are using this code Happy New Year HNY, you will get a flat 52% off on JIB and CIB subscription, right? And this will end on 2nd of January. This will end on what? 2nd of January. So kindly everyone, it's a request to take the maximum benefit of this year on end sale and just enroll yourself in the JIB Super Elite all-in-one subscription. Thank you so much. I hope that you have all enjoyed this session. If you haven't subscribed this channel yet, it's a request, guys, that please subscribe this channel and press the bell notification icon. Thank you so much. Take care, everyone. Bye, guys. Bye, everyone. Take care. Bye, everyone. Take care, guys.